Okay, so you have freedom of speech, and you often express that you're very much against political correctness. So how I would define that is putting societal boundaries on free speech. Would you just can I continue? Is that a good definition of political correctness in your opinion?
No.
Okay, how would you define it?
Well, political correctness is something that I see as having been primarily formulated in the early 1970s. I think it's a unholy marriage, so to speak, between Marxism and postmodernism. And I've been criticized for that view because people say, well, it can't be a marriage between postmodernism and Marxism because postmodernism is predicated on skepticism towards meta-narratives and Marxism is a meta-narrative, so obviously there can't be any postmodern Marxists. And my reply to that is, well, yes, clearly that's the case from the perspective of pure coherence, but that doesn't seem to matter because there are plenty of postmodern Marxists. And that's not my problem because I can't distinguish between them conceptually, it's just the manner in which things have laid themselves out. It was a movement that was primarily a consequence of activity among French intellectuals in the early 70s, and to me it was in part a consequence of two things. It was a consequence of the demise of the intellectual and moral credibility of Marxism, especially in the aftermath of the revelations of the Stalinist and Maoist atrocities that characterized much of the 20th century. So that was one of the what would you call motivating factors, because all the people who held those Marxist viewpoints had to find another avenue of expression for their ideological commitments. And but then the second one, and this is a deeper one, is that there has been a very troublesome epistemological problem that's emerged in multiple fields since the early 1960s in artificial intelligence and in psychology and in literary criticism, and the problem is attendant on the discovery that there's a virtually infinite number of ways of categorizing a finite number of objects. And so what that means is this is integrally tied in, for example, with the difficulty that AI pioneers had in producing machines that could perceive the world, because we thought that the world was made out of sort of discriminable objects in their self-evident categories, and that was just there for the perceiving, and that turned out to be seriously wrong. And so the postmodernist types ran across this problem. They thought, well, how many interpretations are there of a Shakespeare play? And the answer is innumerable interpretations. And then the next problem is, well, then how do you rank order those innumerable interpretations in terms of quality? And that's a major problem. And so political correctness is, well, those are its sources, but it turns out, practically speaking, that it's an amalgam of a rather nihilistic strain of postmodernism with a rather desperate strain of Marxism. So,
okay, thank you. But I wanted to talk about either not regulating free speech at all and putting some societal boundaries on.
Well, there already are legal boundaries on free speech.
Of course, yeah. But for example, in the US, there are very little. But let me look together with you to an example. If for example, in the 2016 elections with Donald Trump, there was a lot of. It's proven that there was some fake news and some hate speech circulating on those platforms, which was not actually true, and it reached a lot of people. Yeah. Would you and Facebook and Twitter are now regulating those posts?
No, they're trying to regulate them.
Yeah, they're trying to regulate them. So would you be in favor of regulating that, or would you say don't regulate at all?
Good luck to Twitter and Facebook regulating their content. Okay. Good luck to them, man. They've bitten off something that they'll never swallow. Yeah. So and who's going to regulate it? So look, am I in favor of a system that would ensure that all we ever received from the media was truth? Sure. If such a system could be produced, but I don't think for a second that that's even vaguely possible, even technically possible. It's like, who decides?
But the alternative is...
No, but it doesn't matter what the alternative is. The question is, who decides? It's the only question.
No, I do agree with you, that's very difficult to decide that, but...
It's not difficult.
It's impossible, you would say.
And there's a big difference between difficult and impossible. And then what happens is, those who choose to regulate end up being precisely those who you would not want to regulate. Now, the way we solved that problem in the West was, you can say your stupid thing, and I can say my stupid thing, and all these people who are just as biased and ignorant as the two of us can listen, and we can all come to our determination about what constitutes truth. And that's the best we're ever going to be able to do. And I believe that. And I don't see any improvement on that.